Welcome everybody. First things first, as always, if I could just get a quick audio visual check, please. Let me know you can see my charts clearly and you can hear me all right. And how are you all doing this fine day wherever you are? After a quick confirmation how you're all doing, that you can hear everything and see everything clearly, I will get started. As most of you know from my last stream, I just did a last minute snowboard trip out to the Rockies. So I have been away for about a week, but I am back. My body's sore. My board is destroyed. It's time to get trading and replace some gear. Yeah, let me know when you guys are able to hear me loud and clear and can see the charts. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. We don't have many people here waiting yet. This was kind of last minute. I wasn't sure when I'd be able to get here, but I'm sure people will join fairly soon here. It looks like we have 20, 25. Okay, here we go. The slopes were fantastic. Thanks for asking. Absolutely amazing conditions. I will talk about it in a little bit. But first, most importantly, we're going to get into some crypto here. So again, thank you guys for being here with me. Thank you for the confirmations. Well, guys, as I just said, I'm back. So after a little break from the charts and a little last minute snowboard trip to the Rockies, I am refreshed and ready to play catch up in the charts. So here I am. Unfortunately, I can't really say anything has changed about my Bitcoin analysis other than it actually got slightly worse while I was away. I'll get into that in a second here. And what I mean by that, you guys, is actually the 4-hour chart has actually formed some new bearish structure. And my long-term time frames, the weekly, the monthly, they just seem to get worse and worse every single day. So with that, I am going to start in the 1-minute chart here, just because those of you guys who are in my Telegram channel, you'll know that yesterday, basically hopping right back into it, found a short. I am actually looking for higher shorts, but I saw the weakness. I saw the trade setup, and I ended up taking this and posting about it in the channel right as we were trading right into my purple box there, the Fibonacci pocket. This is the same fib range that I still have pulled. And I was just pointing out that, yeah, basically, if we break this level, that I'd be looking at it as a sign of strength. But as I was looking at it, it was still very much so resistance, especially for scalping territory. So ended up getting into a short, hit my first 2 take profits. And I mean, we are going from there. Notice that I do have a purple box here. So I have actually, just before starting the stream, taken another little nibble of profits off my position, because we are technically getting to a support level. I'm sure a lot of you guys know where I'm going with this. But if I were to basically pull a Fibonacci from where we bottomed back here and up to where we have topped out here for this range, notice we'd have a range something like that. And technically we are getting very close to the 786 right here. I'm actually going to switch it over to the 5-minute just so it's easier to see. But yeah, you can see that so far where our bottom is, we are technically getting to a Stuber fib here. So I wouldn't be all too surprised to see a bounce here. But me personally, you guys know I have not been bullish for quite some time. I'm going to wait a little bit. I would consider taking a hedge long if we end up getting a swing fail here. But for now, I'm happy just locking in a little more profits off of my short. Because like I said, I'm actually seeing some pretty scary signs in the charts on the longer time frames, and why you guys, I know I've been saying this since the start of the year, and I know it's an unpopular opinion and not many people want to hear it, but I still have a feeling that we are at the start of a bear market. I'll get into that in a second, and obviously I am happy to be wrong. Maybe I shouldn't start with that, because I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, and it'll deter a few people from even wanting to listen to what I have to say. But guys, it is what it is. I keep showing these bearish signs on longer time frames, even the midterm, and nothing's getting invalidated. We just kind of keep setting lower highs and lower lows. So I don't know what else to tell you. The charts are what they are. I'm more interested in trading the charts that are there, rather than trading charts that I think might happen, or with wishful thinking that how charts may react, thinking I understand the global economy better than I do, perhaps, things like that. All reasons why I am not trading based on news or tweets or anything like that. Still just looking at the chart analysis. And for those of you who do like that idea, don't want to get caught up in the echo chambers, in fundamentals that you may misunderstand, that sort of thing. You just want to look at charts and how I look at structure and fibs and my favorite indicators, just my favorite trade strategies in general. Do yourself a favor, scan that QR code or click the link and follow the steps in the description down below. But as it stands, guys, see, notice we're getting a little reaction right off my 786 here. Not too surprised to see that. But again, I just don't know if it's going to hold. I had mentioned that the 4 hour, there's actually new bearish structure. Now, you guys who have been following along with my streams in my Telegram channel, all that sort of stuff, you guys know I've been very vocal about this purple box that was up here, which actually started around 91K, and resistance basically running from there all the way to the lower high that was at 95K. I was very, very interested in getting shorts in these levels. And unfortunately, we never got it because the bulls are too weak. We keep getting bullish fundamentals rammed down our throats, other than tariffs, depending how you feel about that. Again, just exactly why I trade charts and not news, because some people think that it's bullish, some people think that it's bearish. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We keep hearing how bullish things are, and we keep setting lower lows and lower highs. Unfortunately, guys, that reminds me of the last two bear markets that I've been in. It reminds me that, rather than having bullish news, bullish fundamentals, bullish tweets, any sort of bullish announcements, rather than setting slightly higher highs and then retracing and setting higher lows, we just keep getting FOMO pumps that set lower highs rather than higher highs. And then we end up just getting an early rejection. And honestly, guys, since January, we have not even been able to get my 4 hour Stuber fib targets. How I normally, my favorite trade setups, the 4 hour has not been giving them to me. Just like this example here, we never even got up there. So everyone was saying that, oh, haha, this was a bear trap. We're going to all-time highs. People were celebrating when we never even got to resistance. Okay, we formed new resistance early rather than getting up to actual resistance on the midterm trend. So that just, in my opinion, that speaks volumes for the strength of this trend and people who want to hold on to that bullish hopium. Just everywhere we turn, with the, like I said, bullish fundamentals, it just doesn't matter. We just keep setting lower lows and lower highs. And like I said, while I was gone, before we were even able to get up to that Stuber fib at 91K, we have actually closed, not only got below, but closed a candle below that lower low, setting a new lower low on the 4 hour, which then, the way you guys know how I let structure here, we have our low, we have our lower low. The highest point between the two is our new confirmed lower high, right? This is confirmed because we set a new lower low. So at this point, this is where I would, again, I just have a new purple box here. I'm actually going to delete my old one because my old resistance levels, because actually I'll keep that line. But I just want to clear up my charts a little bit and not to get confused by the trade setup up there, because in my opinion, that one has come and gone. It actually never came. It's just gone. So now with the new structure here, I have my new bearish Stuber fib pulled from my lower high down to my current low. And that's where this purple box comes from. So that's basically the range I'm looking at on the midterm trend. So again, guys, this is just the midterm trend. We have not broke this structure. We just keep setting lower lows and lower highs since January 20th, as I predicted would happen at the start of the year there. We are just setting lower lows, lower highs. It's bearish structure. That's all there is to it. The problem that I mainly have, and this will be familiar to those of you who were with me on my last live stream last week, is that the further I zoom out, the worse it actually gets. If I zoom out to the weekly chart, I mean, you guys know I was calling for this double top. Actually, it was before Christmas. I was calling for a double top here with this bearish divergence on the RSI forming, and it played out absolutely perfectly. It was a perfect reversal signal so far. I'm happy to see this invalidated. I've been very clear about this. When we break that RSI trend line, I'll at least consider the possibilities that we are going to carry on to the upside, even if it's just some sort of a relief rally to retest all-time highs, whatever. But we just, as I said, ever since setting that divergence, we never have broken that downward trend line. Another thing is, I know a lot of people thought, as I was calling for this, when we lost our structure here, basically when we lost this weekly support level, losing, what was it, 89K or 90K, whatever. When we lost that level, this purple box is kind of the level that I've been talking about. And you guys know exactly why I'm looking at it, because since we lost one range as support, I'm pulling my Fibonacci from the previous range support, and that Stuber fib lines up around 63K down towards 56K. Swing fail level right around 49K. Even liquidity grab on this sort of a thing, if we're going to test the 115, that would be all the way down to 40K. But I don't really want to talk about that yet. If we're in an actual bear market, yeah, I actually think we go lower than that. However, as it stands right now, I would expect it. And here's the thing, guys. If we do get a nice reaction off this level, because I really think we will, here's where you can pretend I'm a moon boy for a second, because I strongly believe when we test that purple box, I think we absolutely do get a strong bounce from that level. I think it could be a very significant bounce, even something all the way up towards our highs. That doesn't necessarily mean that anything bullish has happened. This is just a very, very, very obvious bullish level that's going to get some sort of a reaction. If it doesn't, that would actually surprise me very much. If we just cut through this like a hot knife through butter, that would actually shock me. I think that being this is a weekly chart and an important fib levels, I really think we're going to get a strong bounce there. And I also think that what goes with that is people especially on social media and that sort of stuff, people are going to be celebrating. People are going to be claiming that it was all a bear trap again. People are going to basically just say how they were right, the bottom is in, et cetera, when really I just think it's an obvious reaction out of support. Just testing a support level. As far as I'm concerned, it's nothing more than that, unless we start changing structure, right? If we do something like this and we actually end up breaking some structure, then fine. Until that trend changes, then it is what it is, right? But as it stands right now, that's still the level that I'm watching, that I still think that we're going to end up getting down to eventually. If it doesn't happen, so be it, right? I'm very clear about this. Whenever I'm taking trade setups, like for example, the short that I took, I had showed that I was taking profits at my typical fib levels. Obviously, this was not the fib. I'm going to actually set back to the one that made me take the trade, just so there's no confusion there. But yeah, first target was hit in the middle of the night, and second target was just hit a few hours ago. And from there, as always, I leave some run. So it really doesn't matter from here. The only thing that can happen from here is I can lock in more profits, but I can dig into those profits a little bit, but I can't lose on this trade or anything like that. It's an absolutely beautiful trade. That short played out absolutely beautifully. But yeah, like I said, not too surprised to see a little bit of a bounce here. I mean, maybe some of you who are here with me even took that long trade. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not interested myself. But yeah, again, it was just an obvious bounce level of some kind, right? And now we have to see how long it's actually going to last. Now is where things get very juicy and very scary, is the monthly chart, you guys. I know so many people were talking about this a few months ago, basically until the new year. People were talking about how insanely bullish the monthly chart was. Well, as soon as we set a big engulfing candle that broke structure, broke this order block, nobody else has been really talking about the monthly chart. But let's just get rid of my indicators here. Just looking at straight up structure, I have these boxes mapped out. Just basically order blocks that when they ended up breaking, they end up getting a support resist flip. Sometimes we're getting wicks below, whatever. But all in all, every time Bitcoin has broke one of these blocks, these 5 times here, they're the only times that I can find, they have been respected and they have been a full-on reversal of the market trend. We have had this about, just over 2 months ago when we closed this big engulfing candle here. So obviously, this was the first time this structure has happened where we actually broke a level like this. I know a lot of people think that this structure right here feels very similar to this. It feels similar, but it's very different. Okay, very different. It's not even freaking close, actually. There was no order block that was broken here. All that we did, we set some monthly wicks down below. Even if we would have closed candles below this, I would not have considered it the same, because unless we would have got higher than this first and then ended up dropping, then I would consider it as being the same structure. But this was the first time that we actually, on the micro trend, I call it the micro trend, but it's actually the monthly chart, right? But just this immediate pump, this is the only time we've lost an order block in this bull market. Just like back here when we lost it when the bears lost it, we ended up starting our bull market. When we lost this one, we continued our bear market. Lost this one, ended up respecting it even during COVID. Yes, the wick went lower, but whatever. But that was the start of a bull market. So just to kind of show you how strong that structure on its own is. But then we add some indicators to this. Some of my favorite indicators. Here is the MDX Wavemaster indicator. So far on the monthly, now full disclosure, there isn't a ton of data here because there haven't been that many. But really, I mean, the first cross was all the way back in 2017, 2018, right around the new year of 2017, 2018. And when we got that bearish cross, that was the 20K market top, right? So far on the monthly time frame with this indicator, it has been 100% accurate. Now, this does not have to be the case. Anything can change, but this is a very serious momentum indicator. And every time we have got a cross with this indicator, it has signaled the bottom of a market cycle and the top of a market cycle. So to see this cross, which has actually, so this is just confirmed a few days ago, right? About a week ago, but we have in fact got that bearish cross there. And that was on candle close. On top of that, we have, like I was just talking about, as far as the naked structure goes, I mean, we flipped this box here. I can even get rid of this red line just to make it more clear. We flipped that support into resistance absolutely perfectly there. So that's two massive red flags there for me. On top of that, the MDX trend dynamic indicator. This will look familiar to those of you who have been in the MDX ALGO community for quite some time. This is actually an older indicator. But one thing that I really like to use is these reversal warnings, mostly when they change directions, just like those buy and sell signals with the Trendmaster indicator I talk about quite a bit. But same thing, mostly looking for when these reversal signs change direction, or in this case, a double whammy where it changes direction and basically a double signal, right? So first it's saying, yeah, we think we're reversing, end up breaking structure. Yep, a second confirmation there. And again, a lower signal, right? The only other time this has ever happened on the monthly time frame is back here, which would have been, back in 2014. And that was obviously the start of a bear market as well. So again, guys, anything can change. I am laying out, like I said, with the weekly chart, if we break my RSI level, honestly, even if the 4 hour, you guys, I'm trying to be civil here. Even if the 4 hour can break lower high structure, I will at least consider the possibility that we could recover. But I mean, everyone likes to claim the bottom is in just because we get a few hours of green price action. No structure has changed in this chart basically since the 20th of January. So it is what it is. If any of my red flags end up getting broken, I'm at least willing to change my tune a little bit. But the fact that we have my weekly divergence, we have the 4 hour structure to the downside, weekly structure to the downside, monthly structure to the downside, crazy. 3 bear market signals on the monthly chart. There's just so many concerns that I have on these charts right now, that again, it's not to say we can't go higher, but to completely ignore them, all these red flags, and just say, no, we have to go higher just because I think so, or because something is happening in the economy, even though you might not understand it completely. I just can't ignore those red flags. I would rather take those red flags seriously and position myself accordingly and trade the market accordingly. And if we start breaking structure to the upside or signals start getting invalidated to the upside, then I can change my trading strategy. That's really all that's trading, because I'm looking at this with a very non-biased opinion, because I don't care which way the market goes, you guys. Yeah, I know a lot of people think that I only want the market to go down because that's how I've been talking for all of 2025 so far. I love being a moon boy, you guys. I was a moon boy for over 2 years before we got that signal that flashed a few months ago. I want to be clear about that, guys. I miss being a moon boy. I love when you could just buy and hold things and, make a bunch of gains. But as a trader, I mean, I don't mind the downside either. Yeah, it sucks that my spot bags are getting hammered just like everybody else's. Don't think I'm any different from you in that way. It's just that trading the downside has been able to offset that and act as a hedge and actually make money to the downside. So I really don't care which way this market goes. I love that there's volatility here, and the direction doesn't matter, because again, even my trade setups, we didn't have to continue going down, right? I mean, we could have just hit my first target and end up reversing, and that's fine too. Just that, because what at the end of the day, analysis doesn't even truly matter, you guys. I know I talk about this all the time, that being able to react and having a trade setup that you can execute over and over is so much more important than being able to predict where things are going and say, haha, see, I'm right, I told you so, even though you got wrecked the entire time, right? I would way rather listen to somebody who is telling me that, hey, if if the price does this, this is how I'm going to react. Or if the price does that, that is how I'm going to react. That's more the mindset of an actual trader versus an influencer. So there's a huge difference there, right? I think it's way more important to be able to react than predict. So that's one of those things that it really doesn't matter. I mean, we could both have the exact same charts, the same indicators, the same trend lines, the same Fibonacci's, and we would trade this market completely different. We could literally take the exact opposite trade of one another at the exact same level, and we could both be winners. We could both be losers. It 100% depends how you actually execute your trade plan. And that's where obviously back testing comes in handy, right? Using the replay feature on Tradingview, actually finding out what your eye is able to catch on a regular basis, and having a trade setup that you can repeat over and over, right? And I mean, that's one thing I always show in my Telegram channel. I love to show my Stuber Fib setups, how I look at structure, swing fails, stuff like that. Some of my favorite trade strategies that I like to go over. If you want more insights to that sort of thing, do yourselves a favor, scan the QR code on the screen. Just giving my general thoughts on the market as a whole, right? But that doesn't mean that the same trade setups are going to work for everybody, because everybody might look at them different. If you're missing something with the way you're looking at it, then obviously to each their own, right? Everyone has their own trade strategies that work for them. And honestly, that's why back testing is so important before trading any real money and following other people's strategies and that sort of thing, right? Unfortunately, trading is one of those things where you have to do your homework once in a while to at least kind of find out what your odds are of the trade setup that you're looking at, rather than just trading on a gut feeling, or even worse, trying to play the news. I mean, we've all been there, and I can tell you right now that trading the news in general doesn't work for most people. I probably know one person in my life who actually trades the news and fundamentals extremely well, and I would say actually outperforms me, even though they don't read charts as much as me. But 99% of people trade fundamentals so poorly. And also, a lot of people are trying to trade fundamentals based on 5-minute charts and 1-minute charts and stuff like that, when honestly, even a 4-hour isn't enough, right? That's the thing. If everything happening in the market right now and on social media, everything that you're told is bullish for the space, even though the price keeps going down and you're wondering what's happening, even if those fundamentals are actually correctly bullish, understand how long fundamentals take to play out. And if that's happening on a weekly time frame or even a monthly time frame, like I was showing, it might be bullish for next cycle, right? That's something that a lot of people don't understand, is how long fundamentals can take to actually play out. So obviously it can be different. The one thing that I would say, which could actually reverse this market fairly quickly, in my opinion, would be, and honestly, I think it's what Trump is going for, is literally crippling the markets and going to lower rates and start printing and borrowing money. And then we're going to sell, right now I see a lot of people celebrating that, oh, inflation's down because, the markets are down, everything's going down. So this is good for inflation. But then by that logic, when we do have lower rates and we do print more money and have, that sort of thing, we're going to celebrate that inflation anyways, right? So, I mean, just kind of a different way of looking at it, and trying to look at things from both sides of things. That the only way I really see this market recovering quickly is through a bunch of money printing, just like at COVID. And honestly, if that happens, I'm not going to be overly excited, because we saw what happened last time. It was actually even the same government in power that printed record-breaking amounts of money. And then, years down the road, you actually get that effect. You get that side effect of inflation kicking in. It's a lagging indicator, right? So, but honestly, that doesn't matter which side of the political spectrum you stand on or anything like that. That's just basic economics. But we're just going to have to see what happens, right? Like I said, that's the one thing that I think could save the bull market, but I don't necessarily think it's worth celebrating if it happens. But we'll see, right? For now, structure is what the structure is. I still think it's extremely bearish because, like I said, as I zoom out, it just looks worse and worse. As I zoom in, yeah, we're getting bounces off very predictable bounce levels, I guess. One thing that is nice to see is that the market isn't actually in total free fall panic, right? For those of you who were around for the COVID days, I mean, this is very, very different. Even though the market is getting its ass kicked in a very similar fashion, it still feels very different, and the market isn't going straight down. We are still seeing those relief rallies, and although yes, they are just setting lower highs and lower lows, at least there's that, and it's not straight up capitulation, right? So that may be coming. We're obviously going to have to see. But yeah, very interesting times, you guys. By no means, I literally have zero FOMO in this market right now. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I have a little bit of FOMO on the short side, that I really think that there is a bigger move coming to the downside eventually. But again, we're going to have to see what happens, right? Because the 4 hour, I absolutely see the reason why we could just test back up here, even all the way. Basically, the super fib on the 4 hour runs from about 85K up to 87K. And the lower high structure is around 89K. And I'm guessing if I pull a fib, the liquidity grab area would be up to about 91K, I'm going to guess. Yeah, right around 91K. So as long as we're below that, I mean, it is what it is. It's just bearish until proven otherwise for me. And I am going to stand by that theory. Bring up some other indicators on the 4 hour chart here. Trendmaster indicator. Yeah, again, just another lower sell signal, right? A very strong trending indicator here. I've mentioned this many times in the past, but even where we bounced to here, look where we got rejected, right along that indicator, basically. So just seeing resistance coming into play early before we can even test like actual structure resistance. We're having indicators step in earlier and stuff like that. So it doesn't look good, guys. That's really, I have no other way to say it. It just, to me, it doesn't look good. And I mean, unless you're a trader and you love the volatility, then it looks fantastic. But as far as if you want to strap on to that rocket ship and go straight to the moon, I don't know if the market has that plan ready to go. I guess we'll have to see, right? Like I said, there is those invalidations. If any of my bearish theories start getting invalidated, I'll at least reconsider my opinion. But the fact that I basically laid this out back in December already is when I was talking about this weekly chart looking like it was getting ready to reverse. That was back in December, December 23rd, I believe it was. And nothing that I predicted from that has actually been invalidated. So if nothing has really changed, in fact, it's got slightly worse, I have zero reasons to change my bearish opinion at this time. That's all there is to it. And again, guys, if you do like my level-headed approach to the markets, I know not everyone wants to hear what I have to say, but if you appreciate me just keeping it real with you guys, keeping a level head, showing some of my favorite trade strategies, how I look at structure, my Fibonacci's, all that sort of stuff, please do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. You don't want to miss these streams. And obviously each like goes a long way. I truly appreciate your support. And if you want to learn even more, you guys, and you just want more examples of what I'm looking at, more structure, a more immediate reaction to the price action going on, that sort of thing, and just my overall thoughts on the market in general. Like I said, there is a QR code on the screen right now, and there is also a link and some steps in the description down below if you want to join my Telegram channel. On top of that, my partners at BloFin are actually currently giving my followers 20% cashback deposit bonus. Read the small print there if that's something that interests you, but that is a special promotion for my followers right now, running until April 21st. So do yourselves a favor and get involved there as well. But yeah, like I said, the short that I'm currently in, I laid this out last night in the Telegram channel. And honestly, guys, even just going way back, I was talking about this price action really never surprised me all that much. I was very much so ready that things were looking harsh on the weekly chart. And everyone was saying that, no, we're going to the moon because of XYZ reasons. But just keeping a level head, looking at the structure for what it is. Yeah, this really shouldn't have caught anybody by surprise who's been following along in my Telegram or in my live streams here. So, guys, I am going to catch up on the chat a little bit. I've been ranting a little bit and haven't really checked. Just curious, did anybody take along off that support? Again, I never did. I had no interest in that myself. But I totally see reasons because it is a support level. It's just I'm not interested in playing the long side right now as much. Is 69 to 71K likely? I actually think we go lower personally. I would guess I was talking about that on my weekly chart. My targets are kind of down at 63 to 56K. But there is this order block here. I will give it this. There is potential support here closer to that 70K, 70 down towards 67, somewhere in there. But at that point, I don't know. I personally think that we're going to end up down at that fib. But the thing is, I'm not actually trading the weekly time frame, right? I'm looking at the weekly time frame to get a general idea of what the market is doing. But I'm mostly trading the 5 minute and the 1 minute. So yeah, I mean, this doesn't have to happen by any means, but looking at it, does it make sense that it would happen? Yeah, 100% it makes sense. Up party. I don't know if up is the right word. Bitcoin bits, you think that we are in for months of hurt? So do I. Happy to be wrong on that. Because again, guys, I still hold most of my crypto. Okay. I want to be very clear about that. My spot, but like if we reverse and go to the upside, oh, Stu, haha, you got wrecked. No, then my spot bags just take over. I'm really just trading the downside as a hedge and to make money on the way down. And then I can, buy if we actually get towards some of the targets that I'm talking about, then I have more cash on hand to buy the dip. But a lot of people have been buying the dip so aggressively right at the top that they can't now. You guys know that song, Down with the Sickness? I sure do. 6K soon. I love the attitude of not being afraid, but I really, really don't think we ever see 6K again. I will explain why in a second. 6K. Actually, you know what? I'll go over that right now. Why do I think that we won't hit 6K again? Because I am just going to remove all my drawings. Because even if I pull a Fibonacci from the bottom of our bear market, I really don't see us dropping much below the 786. You guys know I talk about this all the time in these streams, is that structure is structure. I don't really treat different time frames any differently. I look at the same fib pulls, the same structure on the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 15 minute, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. Structure is structure. It just takes longer to play out, but it acts the same. If this was a 5 minute chart, I would be looking to long the shit out of this box here. It's not to say that it gets there every time. Again, right? Like I said earlier, trading is about reacting to if things happen. You prepare for a certain set of things to happen. And when the stars align, that's when you take your trade. You don't take a trade assuming that something is that, I'm not just going to hold a short down to here just because I think that we're going down there, right? I'm just saying if this was a 5 minute chart and we did get down to this level, I would absolutely be laddering into some long positions at that point. So something to consider there. That lines up with about 35K down towards 26K. Again, big trigger warning that does not have to happen. It's just that, every other market cycle has, right? Every market cycle to date so far has respected the Stuber fibs. Notice we went just below the 786 in our last one. Let's go to the cycle before that. Pull from our bear market bottom, bull market high, boom, we go halfway right into that Stuber pocket. From there, the initial bull run of Bitcoin from our bottom to our top, where did we end up getting to? Damn near the 886. So every single bear market so far has tested that same fib pocket that I always talk about on every time frame when I'm scalping, when I'm swing trading, whatever. That would be approximately where it would be around 36K. So I don't really see us going much lower than that. I honestly don't even know if that's going to happen, obviously, especially anytime soon. I mean, if that was even going to happen, I would think it would be a year or two down the road. So again, guys, these are all far out there predictions. It's just kind of getting ready for things that could possibly happen. Sorry to go on this rant, but yeah, again, the 6K comment there kind of got a chuckle out of me, and I figure I better show why I would not think that we would actually go that low. See, I'm not always perma bearish. Sell in May and walk away. That works sometimes. Or actually, isn't it typically buy in May and walk away? Yeah, I honestly can't remember. But yeah, I'm a charts guy, so I'm not a time analysis guy. Static attack. I'm waiting for some low time frame structure here before you long. Asia usually kicks your butt with doubled back 5 minute structure flips. Yeah, and that could absolutely happen. I think that if the lower time frame, I mean, this is as good of a setup as the lower time frame gets to me. I mean, obviously we've already missed the first entry, but this would have basically been the ideal entry if looking for a long. I'm personally just not interested in longs. I'm more into the short side of Stuber fibs at this point. So the one setup I would consider is if we end up getting a swing fail. So let's say the market does decide to dump down something like this and we reclaim that lower low very quickly. I would be willing to at least take some sort of a short-term setup just because the invalidation would be so close. But other than that, I'm not all that interested right now. And again, if that did happen, obviously I would be looking at a bit of a reversal trade there, but that doesn't mean I'd be looking for new highs or anything, because that would actually be new bearish structure, right? Because we'd have our low, we'd have a lower low. And at that point, although I think a bounce would be quite likely, I'd pull a fib from the high, the highest point between the two, down to wherever we bottom out, and we'd technically have new bearish structure. We'd have a new bearish Stuber fib, something like this. Obviously, all theoretical, just pointing out things to watch for moving forward for the near future here. What else in the chat here, guys? Hopefully you're all having a fantastic day. Again, guys, if you do appreciate my level-headed approach, my trade strategies, my overall view on the markets, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. They will cut rates, and global M2 money supply is already showing a bullish move around May. FOMC is in May and June. And see, Kermit, I agree with that. And I have noticed the global M2 money supply is already showing that it's growing a little bit. And I do agree that they will cut the rates. It's just that I'm not willing to gamble on when that's actually going to affect the charts, because again, with especially honestly a huge one for me is this momentum indicator, the wave master indicator. I use it on shorter time frames as well, but just the fact is, no matter how you look at it, we were in overbought territory. You know, we were overextended there, and then we got a bearish cross, just like back here, just like back here, just like the opposite. You know, we got a bullish cross when we were overextended, bullish cross, overextended, and those were reversals as well. So it's not that I enjoy, well, I do enjoy being bearish. Shorting's a lot of fun. But it's more so just the fact that, you know, momentum has just obviously shifted, and it went from shifting on a short time frame to a mid time frame to now the large time frames. You know, the monthly has even shifted. So, you know, I for me to even consider the possibility that this monthly or weekly chart is going to reverse, at the very, 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 very least, I want the 4 hour to be able to break a lower high. That's not asking too much. The market has not been able to do that since January, though. I know I had predicted that we were going to get a Stuber Fib setup on January 20th, just in time for a perfect sell the news inauguration event. And that absolutely did play out. Absolutely perfectly. Yeah, we went slightly higher than this bearish Fib, but it never even got all that close to my invalidation, the 115. We still had, well, I shouldn't say it never got close. There was only a couple $1,000s to go. But that played out absolutely perfectly. And ever since, yeah, we just have bearish structure. That's all there is to it. I would love for it to change. If it changes, then I will start considering the long side of things. Something that I would love to see, hey, if we end up breaking this lower high structure, I would love to end up looking for a Stuber Fib on the bullish side of things for once. It's been a while. I would absolutely love to play something like that, but I just don't have that setup yet. That's all there is to it. Fib from 10K to 20K on the entire BTC history chart. You want me to lay that out? Oh, you want me to go from this level here? Or sorry, 10 to 20. Are you talking about this one? I'm not sure what you're getting at there, to be honest. But yeah, so far, yeah, again, still a bit of a reaction here. Honestly, it's looking weak already. Let's see if this bounce ends up playing. Let's just take a look at some potential targets. The 0.5 fib target would be right around 77, call it 77,877 basically. And then the 214 fib target, which would be a full range target for me, would be right around 79.7K. 79.7, 79.8. But yeah, if the downtrend is going to continue even on the shorter time frames, that's kind of where I would expect a bounce to get stopped out. Would be right around that 214 fib. Because if I pull a fib from the opposite direction, notice that the 214 lines up just front running the 786 a little bit, basically. It's the opposite Fibonacci, right? Oh, draw from 1 cent to 100K. I'll entertain this idea. Let's. Oh, is that where the 6K came from? Nope. Yeah. I'm not. I like to choose. I like to play each swing as they come. So I don't know if we need to pull back that far, but I love the enthusiasm. What's the 5-minute? Let's check Trendmaster indicator. So this is another one of those times, guys, where I know I often talk about, which way signals are trending. And here was another bit of a red flag, right? We had this sell signal here on my MDX Trendmaster indicator, and we set a lower sell signal. So it's not so much that I take every signal with my indicators as their own thing, but I love to notice when they end up changing directions like that. And that was being that it was a lower sell, that was showing some strength from the bears, in my opinion. So on its own, not all too crazy, but again, it's just something that kind of lined up with the trade later, just basically confirming that there was some strength there from the bears. W is all trending to the downside on the trend dynamic indicator. AI charting tools, we're just setting resistance boxes on the way down here. Liquidations. So we do notice that liquidations band is the high leverage liquidations is actually right around that Fibonacci pocket that I was talking about. If we pulled from our lower high, that lines up right in line with my 786 currently. Also starting to see some liquidation levels just above us. So yeah, we might end up going and grabbing some of that. It's nothing crazy though. There's not a ton there. And yeah, lower lows, lower highs, etc. So yeah, I guess at the end of the day, guys, nothing just looks all too crazy bullish in my opinion. I wish I had better news for you guys, but I don't. If you guys enjoy trading and you just want the volatility and don't care which way we're going, then you know what? Congratulations, because we have had some crazy volatile times and this is a lot of fun to trade. When do we go back up? Honestly, I'm not a time analysis guy. I would say first thing, the one thing that I will consider that, hey, it's time to go back up is if we break a lower high on the 4-hour. At least I'll consider it at that point. Or like I said, if the weekly chart ends up, let me just reload this so I got my drawings back. That RSI on the weekly time frame right here, if we break that red line here, I think at that point it's quite likely that we at least see some nice upside. Whether or not it's a new push to new all-time highs, I don't know for sure. There's so many things on so many time frames that look bad, but that would at least be one sign. At least one thing would be invalidated at that point, and actually on a large time frame, right? I do take the weekly quite seriously, so that would be a signal. But again, for something sooner, I'd be more so looking for that lower high around 89K to break. If that happens, we might even end up getting a pullback. Like I said, ideally, break that structure, get a pullback, get a bullish Stuber fib to play, and then carry on bullish from there. I would love that to happen, but I don't know how likely that is. We'll have to see. As it stands, we still just have bearish structure. The one thing, like I was saying, from a fundamental point of view, if they really amp up the money printing and cutting rates and stuff, yes, that could make a difference. But even if they do that, understand that chart structure will show if fundamentals matter or not. Don't think that you have an edge based on fundamentals or news or tweets or anything like that. If those things actually matter, because the thing is they do, right? I always say that fundamentals and stuff like that don't really matter. That's not entirely true. Those things do matter, but they don't happen immediately all the time. And if they do matter, because sometimes they don't, but if they do, the chart will break structure and show that, right? So I'm not really interested in trying to catch a knife or predict when this bottom is in, because as I said, according to this monthly chart, I see 3 reasons on this monthly chart why we have entered a bear market a couple of months ago. And I see 0 reasons to think that all-time highs are right around the corner. So it's 3-1 for the bears for me. Happy to be wrong about that. I have my invalidations, but that's just how it looks to me. So I don't really want to guess when this trend is going to reverse. I'm just going to wait until the structure reverses, and from there we can react. Any thoughts on MSTR, Microstrategy? I can bring up a chart quickly. As far as from a fundamental point of view, I know a lot of people like to say, oh, Sailor's going to get liquidated. They're going to liquidate Sailor, blah, blah, blah. I personally don't think that's going to happen. Obviously, I could be wrong. I've been wrong once. But here, let's just zoom out a little bit. The thing is, I think the people who are going to, or the businesses who are going to be in trouble and that sort of thing, are going to be the ones who FOMO into things like, you know, Bitcoin reserves, you know, mass adoption of accepting Bitcoin, all that sort of stuff, right? All those things that you see that are always bullish. The ones who get into that late are going to be the ones who get punished extremely hard. Whereas MicroStrategy, I mean, Sailor got into Bitcoin. I remember when it happened. And I think Bitcoin was around 9K or whatever at the start of, was it last bull market? The fact that he has been here for more than one full cycle and he's not FOMOing into a cycle. I mean, I guess technically he is kind of FOMOing into the top at times. But the guy seems to have unlimited money, however he's borrowing and stuff like that. So I don't really have a strong opinion because I don't understand the business enough. But I don't think it's going to, you know, go belly up or anything like that. I mean, it could. By all means, this is not financial advice. Anything can happen. But same thing as Bitcoin. The structure looks really bad, right? On the 4 hour, this is actually where we ended up breaking our trend, right? Because we were just setting these higher highs, higher high, higher high, higher low, 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 broken. So that's where our microstructure on the 4 hour here actually did end up breaking to the downside there. And so far it's just been kind of, well, no surprise, dumping off a cliff with Bitcoin. Not really too surprising. So yeah, I think absolutely it could go a lot lower, but I don't necessarily think it's the end of the company. Honestly, I wouldn't be against pulling a fib something like this. We're actually getting fairly close. There's a little room yet, but getting fairly close to a 786. That would only be only about 17, 18% away at this point. This almost looked like a higher high, but I don't see a very confident lower low here. These kind of look more like a double bottom here. So I would say this is still the level that needs to break here, because low, lower low, lower high. And that's up at $400. So that's damn near 100% pump from here. Basically needs a 70% pump to invalidate my bearish structure. And that's only on the 4 hour, you guys. Anyways, guys, I think that's about all I wanted to go over today. I just wanted to do a real quick video because, again, I was kind of out in the Rockies snowboarding for a week, and I know I haven't been streaming or even been that active in the Telegram, but I'm back. Like I said, entered this beautiful short last night already, so already back in the game here, which is good because I need to buy some new snowboard equipment that got thrashed over the week. But yeah, like I said, if you guys found this stream useful at all, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. You don't want to miss these streams. And as mentioned, if you want access to my private Telegram channel, just where I kind of share some of my thoughts, some of my theories, some of my trade setup ideas, just my overall thoughts on the markets in general, there is a link down below with some steps in the description, as well as this QR code on stream here. Like I said, BloFin is currently giving my followers a beautiful deposit bonus cash back here. So do yourselves a favor and take advantage of that as well. With that, you guys, thank you all so much for being here with me. Good to be back. And yeah, with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.